You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone and welcome to part 4 of our West of Scotland Premier Division season preview. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. Auchinleck Talbot striker Marc Shankland's here as always. Shankles, how are we?
I'm very good, Scott. How are you?
Brilliant, all good. Lochlin Highet's here as well. Lochlin, the West of Scotland expert. How you doing?
You keep calling me this. I don't know what I've done to...
As long as you don't make any predictions, we'll be fine.
Turkey to win the Premiership.
But we are going to take a look in this part at Pollok, Hurlford, Benburb and Blantyre. Shankers, out of these teams, who catches your eye?
I think Pollok have got to be up there. They're one of the kind of junior giants. We keep referring it back to juniors. I think it's one of the ones where a lot of people always know it as the juniors, but there's some teams that just want to get away from that kind of tag now. So I think Pollok will definitely be one of the teams that's challenging. They've got good ambition up there, and it's one of the places that I always like going up to Newlandsfield and playing there. They've got a good support and stuff like that, and it's always a tough game when we play them.
Definitely. Lochlin, who catches your eye? I know you write a lot about Hurlford. Who's sticking out to you?
I think I agree with Shankers. Pollok, they obviously have not played in the park, but in the territories, it's a kind of great setup. Newlandsfield, I know they use it a lot for like West of Scotland finals and stuff. Back in the day, it's a great kind of wee part. I think they'll certainly be up there. Hurlford, historically they've been up there, but we'll go into more. I don't kind of think they'll be up there this season, but we'll talk more on that.
Definitely. We will start by taking a look at Pollok in this episode. Shankers just played against Pollok not that long ago in a friendly. How did you find their performance?
I think it's tough to read too much into pre-season games. I mean, we won 4-0 on the day, but I think that was Pollok's first pre-season game. It was our second or third, so it is tough to read too much into it. And obviously, beating Pollok 4-0 at any, whether it's a pre-season or a league game, means you've done something right. But we don't want to look too much into that. But on the day, we were good. Pollok played well, but I think we just punished them at the right times. But I'm sure when we play them in the league fixtures up there again at Newlandsfield, things will be different. But as we said before, Pollok will definitely be one of the sides that's up there. They managed to attract a good quality player, and two of the standouts for me are the McKinnon brothers. They're always going to give you a tough time whenever you're playing them. Barry plays off the right, normally against me on my side of the left, and Stuart plays up front. And I think they're two players that wouldn't surprise me if they went and played senior. I think Stuart's a younger brother, so he's probably still got that ambition. Gary's maybe getting on. I'm not saying getting on a wee bit as if he's coming to the end, but he's the older brother. He's maybe settled a bit at Pollok, but they're two players to watch for them, and how they'll have a big say in how Pollok do this season.
Lochlin, what's your thoughts on Pollok getting into this season? Are they a team who could be seriously challenging at the top?
I think Pollok will be, to be honest. And again, we spoke earlier in the week about your Beeves who'll be under the radar. I think Pollok will actually be under the radar as much as they're usually up there. Nobody will be kind of talking about them as much. I'm not saying that nobody will be talking about them because they're that big a team that will be, but just in the kind of initial title picture, I don't think Pollok will be in that kind of frame. But I think they'll, in a good day, they can pull in nearly 4 figures, for a crowd, and that's incredible at this level, really. That obviously requires like your Rangers and Celtics not playing a lot of the time, but it just shows they've got that potential fan base there, and they'll want to use that to hopefully kind of put them up the leagues,
I think one of the times we played Pollok up there, I think it might have been a Scottish Cup day. I think we were, take out your SPL teams, but I think we were probably one of the 3 divisions, probably one of the top top attendances that weekend, just for between ourselves and Pollok. So you're right, they've got a real good fan base, and if they want to go up the divisions as well, they've got the backing of their supporters.
Definitely. I spoke to Pollok manager Murdo MacKinnon about his thoughts for Pollok's upcoming season. So we're joined by the Pollok manager Murdo MacKinnon. Murdo, it's a pleasure to welcome you on to the show. Thanks for joining me.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No worries. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm very well.
Brilliant. How
Look forward to
excited?
the season getting started.
Brilliant. How excited are you for the season to kick off?
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be a great league. It's going to be a brilliant season. I think everybody's looking forward to it, to be totally honest with you. No matter what club you're at, no matter who you support, I think everybody's looking forward to the football getting started for real. And hopefully we get to go through the season without any issues.
Definitely.
We're really looking forward to it.
Brilliant. How excited are you to have fans back in the stadium?
Well, listen, it's football without supporters. They're all cliche in it. It's football without supporters. It's nothing, you know. It's I don't enjoy, you know, even friendly games. You don't enjoy them without supporters there. They create the atmosphere for you. They do so much. You know, the lifeblood of some of the clubs. You know, and the majority of the clubs. It's great to see some old new faces coming round about again. We're starting to get some supporters in. But they generate the atmosphere in the ground. You hear them there. You know, they voice their opinions, sometimes good, sometimes bad, which is great. And you know, there's also a financial aspect to it for clubs as well at our level. Very important as well to get people back in through the gates and help the clubs move forward. So no, it's great to have them back, and I'm looking forward to welcoming more of them back. You know, and hopefully the numbers increase. But hopefully it's dressing rooms next. Hopefully we'll get back into that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's been a while since the players have been playing. What's it been like in pre-season trying to get them back into order?
Getting them into order, getting the boys into order is no problem. In the pre-season itself, it's been a challenging pre-season. It's been difficult for a number of reasons, and you know, always the concern is, you know, people being off for so long. You know, a year, 18 months. It's about mentality. It's about routine again. You know, it's dead easy kind of home if you're working, getting into a different routine and stuff, and it's starting to get back into that old routine about making sure you're at training, making sure we're doing the things that we should be doing. And the boys have been first class. They've been great. It's been difficult in terms of recruitment as well, you know, because obviously a year or so out of the game, it's been challenging for a number of reasons. You know, no watching games, no watching players, no being able to see things. You know, so it's but everybody's in the same boat, you know, with that, and getting the right players and the right people into your clubs and stuff like that as well. Not just the right players, you know, they've got to be the right people as well. But again, the games, we've arranged the games. I've made our pre-season, in terms of the games, extremely difficult. But I've made it like that for a reason. You know, it's deliberate in that, you know, you're playing Auchinleck, Talbot, Lithgow Rose, Atherley for us, and you know, just as recent as Cowdenbeath, obviously Yoker midweek, but with Cowdenbeath there yesterday. So, you know, real challenges, and it's to find out exactly where we're at. You know, there's an honesty about that. It's about finding out where you're at and what you need to do. In terms of getting ready for your season, and it's been excellent for us. You know, there's a lot of questions there answered, and a lot of things that we've identified that we know that we need to improve upon, and things that we're doing well. So it's been first class. It's been really, really good. Being able to test ourselves against really good teams also. So really enjoy the challenge. It's been good.
Brilliant. What sort of changes have you made to the squad for the summer?
The majority of the squad for last year remain. There's a couple of wee changes there. Dan Christie leaves, is going to stay in Housemuir. Wish him well. Feel it was an opportunity for him to go and play in the seniors, which is, you know, great. It's fantastic. Dan staged his career, and I felt he wanted to do that, and we support him doing that. So that's great. But bringing Alex McWaters in to replace him, wide player, a free agent. Alex has done really, really well. He's come in, he stood out. He's been fantastic. Callum Graham coming in for Ashfield, striker. Scored a lot of goals in the lower leagues, and you know, he's got a platform there to come in and see what he can do at Pollok. He started really well. He's got a lot of hunger and desire about him. Brought in a couple of defenders, Nevin Horn for East Stirling, and Kyle Bradley, who's played most recently with East Kilbride in the Lowland League, but ex-Rangers, and the boys have settled in brilliantly. And just recently, young Jonathan Lyne brought him in, ex-Greenock Morton youth team, you know, so young players have got a hunger and a desire about them as well, you know, and it's kind of it's good for the squad, that, you know, it's kind of can be contagious, you know, and young players, they don't have any fear, young players, you know, so he's come in and he's he's been first class. His attitude's exemplary. It's absolutely brilliant, you know. Such a hard worker, as are all the lads. But the new boys have settled well. All good players, fitting in well, getting to know their new teammates, which is just, it's hard as well, because they've been at the game for a bit as well. You know, it's hard. That's difficult as well for them. But maybe no finish. Might have one or two more surprises coming on just before we get going.
Brilliant.
It's been great. The boys have been great, and I'm happy with the changes that have been made.
Brilliant. Final question: what's the hopes and expectations for the season for Pollok?
Well, listen, at Pollok, we always hope to compete at the highest level we can. You know, I know it's no batting the question away, but you always want to, you know, compete at the very highest level. We're now in a pyramid system where we can go and we can do that, and it's up to us to kind of, in the club, to work our way up that pyramid as high as we can. Everybody will find a level at some point, I'm sure, within that, and we hope to go as high in that as possible. But obviously for this season coming, to be more specific about your question, obviously the West of Scotland League, very important. We've got cup competitions there, and we want to be competing for those. You know, we'll not shy away from saying that we want to go and we want to compete to try and win the league. We want to go and compete and try and win cup competitions and stuff like that as well. And we've built a squad to do that, and hopefully to do that. But listen, a club like Pollok, expectation is always to win. It's always to win. It's to be successful and win, and that comes from myself. Most importantly, that expectation is set by me. You know, for the players, for the staff, for the committee, for the club, and the supporters have that expectation of us as well, which is quite right. It's quite right. You know, and I wouldn't want it any other way. You know, you want to be at a club where their expectations high, and you want to go and compete and win things. You know, that's what you want to do. But listen, can't wait for the season to start and get going. Can't wait for it.
Brilliant. Pleasure to have you on, Murdo. Best of luck for the season ahead.
Listen, thanks very much, Scott. All the best for the future and all the best for the podcast.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We'll move into Hurlford, Lochlin, a team who a few years ago had won the Scottish Cup, were flying at the top of the league. Darren's been there a while. Darren Henderson has played down relegation fears due to a lot of players leaving, but you seem to think they could be in danger.
It's a tough one, you know. Again, I've watched Hurlford for a few years now. Before I even started my job at the Standard, I went to kind of do bits at Hurlford, you know. So I've been there. I've watched them in finals, and I was there, you know, when they were against Talbot a few years ago. It was basically winner wins the league. Shankland's got a big grin on his face because he knows what the result was.
Can I remember what the result was or who scored that game? It really.
I don't know who it was. No, but no, it's one of them. Hurlford are usually up there getting talked about for titles, but speaking to Darren and going to games, I've been to a few of their pre-season games. The problem is he's relying on youth a lot this season, and he's lost a lot of big players like your Adam Hodges, players like that. Richie McKinnon, who's been there 8 years, and he was even with Hendo at Glenafton before that. This is big players to lose, so it's hard. You know, they've still got Stuart Keane in their bench in friendlies. That just shows that's not relying on youth right enough. But they have retained like your Paul McKenzie's, players like that, Chris Robertson. These are big experienced players. They've been there, done it. But I just think, speaking to Hendo, he says that they're going to have to run maybe with a smaller squad. Maybe he's looking at 16 or 17 players, and as soon as you get 2 or 3 injuries, that then becomes a problem with, you know, potentially 50 odd games, you know, even more if they go in decent runs. So I think that they'll struggle in that sense. That's why I think they'll struggle, just because the way everything's kind of fallen and half the league's gone down. So, you know, traditionally they'd maybe, if things were normal, you know, say they maybe came 14th and just kind of, that's fine, write it off, we'll go again next season. But 14th, you get relegated this year. So that's why I think they'll struggle.
Definitely. Shankers, what's your thoughts on Hurlford this season?
I've not really. I know there's been a lot of outgoings at Hurlford, and I mean, it's no. Let's be honest, it's no getting rid of players that maybe weren't getting minutes or stuff. It's getting rid of players that have been in their starting 11 and have been there for a few years, like Sir Mick Wardrop's away. Adam Hodge, as you say, is away. Richie, who played at the back. It's a good kind of core of their starting 11. So when you take them out and you maybe don't replace them with like for like signings, it will be difficult for them. And we keep going back to it, but there is teams that are, say you're sitting middle of the road and then you start to find yourself in a poor run of form and you get sucked right into that relegation battle. And for a club like Hurlford, who have been up there as long as I've been at Auchinleck, we've been playing us in Fit West finals, Scottish Cup finals, league beside us. I mean, that's not just the odd year, that's year after year. So we've probably been up there with ourselves consistency levels. So to see them lose players and drop down, it's obviously no nice to see because you want all the top teams up challenging. But Darren's got plenty of experience as a manager, and I'm sure he'll be able to attract quality players in that are able to do a job for him. And the likes of keeping Taz and Chris Robertson at the back, I mean, that could be two very important players for their season to come. And I mean, Taz will be one of the players where if he was to leave Hurlford, there'd be a queue of teams ready to sign him because he's a quality player. So to keep the two, they'll be very important in where Hurlford finish up this season.
Definitely. I spoke to winger Marc McKenzie about Hurlford's expectations for this season. So we're joined by Hurlford's Marc McKenzie. Marc, it's a pleasure to welcome you onto the show. Thanks for joining me.
No problem.
How are we?
Aye, all good, mate.
Brilliant. How excited are you for the season to kick off?
It'll be good to get back, getting the games and that going again. It's been Murdo in the games for a while, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's been brutal.
Definitely. What's pre-season been like? How hard's it been to get back into order?
To be honest with you, personally, all right. I kind of keep myself ticking in that all the time. I'm a fireman as well, so
Aye.
We get plenty of chances to keep training and keep fit and work, and then we go to pre-season. As you get older, then pre-season it's supposed to get a bit harder. Most people find, but you know what to do and what not to do. You know what I mean. You know what you can get away with, what you can't get away with. When you get older, you become the more experienced. You know when to make yourself look as if you're running harder.
Definitely.
So, it's just knowing what to do and when to do it.
Definitely. Obviously, last season was before it got called off. There was no fans in the stadium. How excited are you to be back playing in front of fans?
I think the wife's more excited than me, to be honest with you. She normally comes to every one of the games, so I think she's very excited about being able to go to the games than me. No, having the fans there is always good. It's always good to have the fans there, get a crowd there. When you're playing in the games when there's nobody there, it's that unrealistic. Do you know what I mean? So these closed door games that I've played in a million of them. It's just they're all kind of. It's like a pre-season game. They're not too serious when there's no the fans on there. And then it can work one of both ways for some people. Some people they need the crowd there. It gives them a wee jag. And then other boys, maybe when they're getting a bit of stick, don't like it. Which for me, I kind of get a bit of stick all the time, don't I? Whether it's with my own fans or the other fans, keeping it tight all the time. So it'll be good to get them back in.
Aye, brilliant. What's Darren been like with you? Has Darren been kind of hard on you or getting you back into order?
He's always quite. Pre-season's always quite tough, regardless. Do you know what I mean? It's always going to be a hard time. But again, if you look after yourself when you're not in that football, then it's always going to make life easier for yourself. But it keeps on top of the boys in terms of fitness and that. But to be honest, this season, because of the lack of football the past wee while, it's actually been a lot of the ball, and we've had quite a few games crammed into a short space of time as well. But you can go out and run all day, but you're never going to get match fit unless you've got the balls out. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So it's been all right. It's been fine.
Brilliant. What changes have been made to the squad for this season?
Well, I think there's been massive changes. We've lost quite a few. But which my personal opinion is, I've maybe got a different view on it for the boys that have left and maybe even the gaffer and that. But for me, we've got a lot of boys have left. Whereas I feel as if they should have stayed. Everybody's got their personal reasons why they've went away or whatever, but Hurlford were good to the boys in that last year. The gaffer was good to the boys. So I felt as if everybody kind of should have stayed and kind of gave them another year. But it wasn't to be. Other boys have got other commitments and maybe clubs have went to a closer to home in that for them. So we've lost quite a few big players. And the gaffer's brought in a few ones that I don't really know. They've looked decent in training and the games that they've played in. So only time will tell when we start getting into the real games. Do you know what I mean? The big stuff.
Yeah, definitely. What's the final question? What's the kind of hopes and expectations for Hurlford this season? What's the target you have set for this upcoming season?
To be honest with you, I think because a few of the boys in that we've lost and a few of the boys that have brought in have been a bit unknown, I don't really think there is any kind of great expectation on us. I think we'll just kind of hopefully be flying under the radar. There'll not be too much asked of us that way. Hope that again that can work in our favour. That there'll not be a lot of expectation and a lot of boys, and there'll be a lot of pressure on them. But again, the flip side to that is that we're a big club in the junior leagues. Do you know what I mean? Hurlford are a big club. They've always been quite successful. They've always been up the top end of the table for a number of years. So that's always going to be there, especially for the support. They're always going to have that expectation that we're going to be up near the challenging. So I think that we're not really expected to be up that end of the table because we've lost a lot. But obviously, hopefully, we've kept a few of the boys, like obviously experience-wise, like myself, Taz, Chris McKnight, Big Robo. So there's a bit of experience throughout the team. Even because some of the younger ones, like young Sam and that, also left back, he's played a lot of games now, especially for his age. So hopefully we'll do all right. Hopefully we'll be up there.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for coming on, Marc. It's a pleasure. Best of luck for the season ahead.
Aye, no bother, no problem. Anytime.
We'll move on to Benburb Shankers, a team who have been another team with a kind of rich vein of history when it comes to this division. Paul Lovernan's a manager. How key will his experience be to leading this team to hopefully stay up?
Yeah, but when you're saying about his experience, I was looking at Benburb's squad and stuff like that, and I seen that they added the boy Ryan Doherty that was at Beath and Rhys Devlin who was at Irvine Meadow as well. So that's two players who were experienced in this division, and when you're talking about the amount of teams that are going down and teams that are going to find it tough in the division, a couple of signings like that who have experience playing in the division with Beath and Irvine Meadow are only going to bolster their squad's chances of survival and obviously the manager's experience as well. I think just because they were newly promoted, I think we only played them once in the last few years because the season was stop-start. I never really clocked on how they did when the season started last year, but Benburb will be a tough place to go. I've got no doubt about that, and I think if they're sitting middle of the road, that'll probably be about their expectations, just to maybe sit middle table and survive. I think they would be happy with that.
Lochlin, what's your thoughts on Benburb?
I'm not going to profess to know too much about Benburb, like kind of in all seriousness, but I think, you know, looking at the teams in the league, there's going to be big teams going down this year, and I think Benburb might be one of the teams that are kind of going to get caught out by this kind of 7 or 8 teams going down. I know that we've spoken about that before, but I just feel as if, you know, again, they'd be a team normally out of 20 teams would be happy to come 15th, 14th, 13th, but unfortunately that puts you down this year, and yeah. I think they might end up in one of the teams getting caught out by that, which is, it's a shame, but it's the way the league have decided to go for whatever reason. But I think it's a shame in these clubs that maybe would have a kind of good season, you know, as Shanker says, they could be sitting 9th or 10th. You lose 2 or 3 games towards the end of the season, and then you're playing for safety. You know, it's mental.
I spoke to Ian Gray, the Benburb assistant manager, about their hopes and expectations for the upcoming season. So we're joined by Benburb's assistant manager, Ian Gray. Ian, it's a pleasure to welcome you on to the show. Thanks very much for coming on.
No worries, Scott.
How are you?
Very busy, work-wise, and back in at pre-season, but all good.
How excited are you for the season to start?
Very, as I said, it's been a long couple of years. Obviously, when the pandemic hit, so we are our first season. We'd worked very hard over a number of years to go up through the divisions, and our first season in the top division was the year that obviously COVID struck, and that's 2020. So that season was curtailed, and then obviously last season was a bit of a no-go, to be perfectly honest with the word go. We'd started the season, we opted to play, but we get 3 games in and just thought this is not worth it. You know, no fans, no dressing room facilities, no shower facilities for the players. You know, and we pulled out, and then obviously since then it's been very stop-start because you've been told you're about to start, and then the goalposts are moved. But now we've got a definitive date to work to, the 17th of July, or as definitive as it can possibly be during this period. So, it's been good since we started pre-season. Middle of June, it's been really good getting all the guys back in.
And what's pre-season been like? Has it been hard to get the players back into order?
Not particularly, no. A lot of our guys had went away and kept themselves in good shape. I think, to be fair, at our level now, most of the guys go away and do something themselves anyway.
Aye.
It's not like when I was playing and guys would come back in, after pre-season, 2 stone overweight. That just doesn't happen these days. So, all the guys have come back in good shape. It's obviously just been a question of building up the base fitness levels that we've got and getting them ready for the season.
Brilliant. What changes have been made to the squad this season?
We've made quite a number, to be honest. We've kept all the guys that we wanted to re-sign. We've re-signed, so we've got a good core of about 9-10 players that we've had at the club for the last few years that have been with us kind of through the divisions. A lot of these boys have had offers to go to other teams. Well, when we were other junior teams, and a lot of them have offers to go senior, but have been loyal to the club. I think that's down to the way they've been treated at the club and they enjoy it there. A lot of them are sort of local boys, Govan boys as well, which helps. And we've made, so far, another 7 signings. A good mixture of experience and a couple of young guys coming in. So we've went for experience at the back. So we've signed guys that have been over the course at this level, and above, because I think we need that. It's going to be a really competitive league with 7 teams going down at 20.
Yeah, definitely.
So for our perspective, we need to make ourselves first and foremost very difficult to beat.
Definitely.
See where it takes us in games.
Yeah, definitely. Finally, what's the hopes and expectations for the season? How do you see Benburb finishing?
I said, I think with 7 teams going down out of 20, and I think out of those 20 teams, I think you can discount the likes of maybe Auchinleck, Pollok, Darvel, Clydebank winning has probably been involved in that. So that leaves you 7 out of 15. So you've got almost 50% of your clubs fighting to stay in the league. So I think from our perspective, when the season got curtailed 2 seasons ago, that was our first season in the Premier Division after a number of years' absence. So I think for us, the sort of hopes and expectations are to stay in the league this season. I think for most of the teams, to be honest, that'll be the hopes and expectations. Obviously, the teams that I've just mentioned are probably looking to go up into the Lowland League and beyond. I think from our perspective as a club, first and foremost, we need to consolidate at this level, and then see in a couple of years' time, where we'll be then and where we want to go from then. But yeah, first and foremost, our expectations are just to do well and remain in the league. And then obviously if we get off to a good start, see how far that takes us. But I think we've always, as a club, been realistic in our ambitions. We're up against clubs who have got 10, 15 times the budget that we've got. Some of the figures been bandied about the money that some clubs are paying players. It's quite frightening, to be honest, at this level. So that's what we're competing against. But we like to think at Benburb, because of the way the players are treated and because the club's run so professionally, especially with Paul's background, having 20 odd years in the senior game.
Yeah.
All those things, having our own facility, which is our park. We own everything there. We don't owe a penny to anybody else. It's Benburb's. The players know where they're training, all the wee things, all the training gear, food after training, all that. That's helped us keep a lot of the guys there over a number of years.
Brilliant.
You know, and I think going forward to attract players, we need to stay in this division. We don't want to be dropping down to the next level. We've worked so hard to get there, and we don't. Again, as a club, we don't. This is one of the things we discourage the boys doing. We don't let anybody go into social media and say anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll do our talking on the pitch. We don't say anything. We don't say we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do the next thing. We just keep it all in house, and it's the old cliche: just take one game at a time and see where it takes us.
Definitely.
You know? So yeah, I think we're all really looking forward to getting back. Brilliant, the couple of friendlies we've had at the Bens to get the fans back in. We don't have a massive support, but we've got a hardcore, loyal fans that go everywhere with us. So it's great seeing them back in.
Brilliant.
Because it all helps having the guys that have been there break through the divisions with us again.
Definitely.
Back me up.
Definitely. Thanks very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck for the season ahead.
No worries, Scott. Thanks very much. Speak to you later.
We'll move on to Blantyre, a team who came up last season and played their first. This will be their first full season in the Premier Division. Hopefully, Lochlin, do you think they'll have enough to stay up?
I don't know too much about them recently, but I know they were up challenging Darvel for the title, and I think they were ahead of Darvel at the time because it was at joint winners or some bizarre thing they gave. Even though I think when you looked at it, Benburb should actually have Blantyre, should actually have won the league if you were doing it kind of correctly. But so I think on that basis, it certainly seems as if they've got enough about them, but half the league's going down at the end of the day. No, I think they'll be happy with mid-table, in their first kind of full season. But again, I think they'll be one of the teams maybe looking the other way, unfortunately. They'll be trying to avoid that.
Shankers, what's your thoughts on Blantyre Vicks this season?
As Lochlin said, I mean, for any team to run Darvel to where they ran them close to winning the league and eventually get joint winners and got promoted, to be able to do that over the piece, it's not as if it was just a couple of one-off games and they held their own against them. They've done it consistently over a period of time, and it's going to be a tough ask this season to be able to do it with this. I mean, when you rattle off some of the teams in the league, Clydebanks, Glenafton's, Cumnocks, Bees, Kilwinnans, I mean, it's all right then in the league below. Are they going to be strong enough to do it in the league above week after week after week? And there's going to be, I know a lot of these clubs don't really, Lochlin was saying about Hurlford carrying maybe a less squad when you've got 10 games in 5 weeks. That is going to be so tough for a lot of teams who maybe haven't got as big a squad to try and get players fit and play them week after week. And I think that could end up taking its toll on a lot of these teams. And Blantyre, unfortunately for them, I think they could be one of the ones that's looking behind them rather than looking in front of them this season.
I spoke to their forward, John Cunningham, about their expectations for this season. So we're joined by John Cunningham from Blantyre. John, it's a pleasure to welcome you on to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks very much, Scott. No, I appreciate it.
No
Pleasure
bother.
to be here.
No bother. How are you?
Aye, doing well, mate. Doing well. Yep, how are you?
No, not bad, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. We are just about to get the season kicked off. How excited are you to get back up and running?
Mate, I'm absolutely buzzing, to be fair. It's been so long since the lockdowns and that happening and the stop-starting this of the last 2 seasons. So just hopefully, fingers crossed, this one gets going and you get a good run at things. So I am really excited.
Brilliant. What's it been like having the kind of fans back in the stadium? Are you looking forward to that?
Aye, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a completely different game when you've got no fans. It's still good, but at the same time, you've not got that adrenaline of them being there, cheering on for the side, that kind of thing. You miss that when you're playing. It's a big part of it.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned there about the stop-start. How's it been getting back into order with pre-season? Have you found it tough?
Yeah, to be fair, I think this has been the toughest one yet in a long time. It's just been, you don't have that match fitness. You can be out running during lockdowns, and you've not got the use of the gym facilities and stuff. So it's definitely been harder than usual.
And what's management been like? Have they been kind of Has it been a
Aye,
tough pre-season?
Yeah, they've been supportive in that as well. I feel like we've done a lot, to be fair. We kind of eased ourselves back into it at the start, and then kind of got into the more harder stuff. So I think they've managed it pretty well, to be fair. They realise that boys have got to be different, when they've been off for a good time. The fitness goes in that way, certain guys, and some guys are just naturally fit. So they've managed it really, really well, to be fair.
Brilliant. What changes have we made to the squad this season?
Well, there was a couple of guys that had left last season, kind of key players. Like Gav Miller's away to Cunningham. He was one that really stood out for me last season. But I think the manager's done really well in bringing in a lot of quality players. Like Grant Brennan, he's good in the ball. A couple of good defenders as well. So I think the recruitment's been pretty well.
How do you find the first few fixtures? What's your first few fixtures like?
Well, our first one's a toughie. We're away to Pollok
Right.
as well. I think we've got Talbot pretty soon into the season. I think the fixtures we've got, most of our Saturday games are away, and the midweek games are their home ones. Again, I think that's kind of tough, because a lot of the fans might not be able to get to the game during the week. Boys will be coming straight for work as well, which is another big thing. So, but after August, I think then we start to get the home games on a Saturday. So I think that'll be kind of tough as well. But it's just good to get back playing football, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. What's the kind of hopes and expectations for Blantyre this season? Where do you see the season going?
Well, I think we'd probably just do the same as usual. Gaffer was the season we won the championship and tie with Darvel. We just take it a game at a time. Challenge, make sure that we're trying to win every game. There's no easy fixtures in this league at all. So you need to make sure that every game's a battle. You need to make sure you're winning them. So I just do that and then see where we end up, to be fair.
Brilliant. How much are you looking forward to getting back out there?
I can't wait. Even the pre-season games, it's just a wee taste of what it's got to be like in the league. But even at that, it's waking up on a Saturday morning with that buzz. It's something different, to be fair.
Definitely. Thanks very much for coming on, John. Best of luck for the season ahead.
Appreciate that. Thanks very much, Scott.
Cheers, mate. And that is part 4, where we took a look at Pollok, Hurlford, Benburb and Blantyre. We'll be back tomorrow for our final episode, where we'll take a look at Kilwin, Rangers, Rossvale, Kilbirnie and Bonneton. Shankers, Lochlin, thanks very much again. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see everyone tomorrow as our preview enters its final episode. Thank you.